Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. The Honorable Mrs. Dr. Junuraini SHMH and the audience that I'm proud of. Let me introduce ourselves from Group 5, and we will discuss about the Indonesian Timor-Leste Truth and Friendship Commission 2005 till the 2008, a study on the effectiveness of transitional justice mechanism in resolving gross human rights violation in East Timor 1999. Before we get to the discussion material, let me introduce my group members, namely M. Bentang Skala, Edwin Laksana Absor, Aiman Virgiansah, Alfonso Krison Wicaksana, Muhammad Virat Korni, and Ikomang Aldi Dananjaya. Okay, let's go straight to the background. The 1999 East Timor referendum, which resulted in 78.5% of the vote in favor of independence, triggered with widespread violence and a humanitarian tragedy at the hands of militias and elements of the Indonesian military, to the failure of the judicial process to deliver meaningful accountability, with the trials in Jakarta widely regarded as sham trials. To the two countries agreed to establish the Commission for Truth and Friendship, or known as CTF, in March 2005. The CTF was established as a non-judicial mechanism prioritizing truth-telling and bilateral reconciliation to safeguard the stability of relations between the two nations. Okay, the next material will be delivered by my friends. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, Ben. To begin, let's look at the statement of the problem. Our study focused on three main questions. First, we investigate how effective the Indonesia Timor-Leste Truth and Friendship Commission was in fulfilling the right of victims of gross human rights violation to truth, justice, and reparation. Second, we analyze whether the KKP mandate and final report are consistent with international standards for addressing serious human rights violation, particularly the state obligation to prosecute perpetrator. Third, we explore the implication of the KKP for Indonesian human rights legal policy and future transitional justice mechanism. Overall, our objective is to analyze the effectiveness, the appropriateness of the mandate, and the implication for future policy. With those objectives in mind, let's turn to an overview of human rights violation in 1999. The conflict in East Timor between 1974 and 1999 result in estimated 102,800 to 183,000 deaths. At its peak following the 1999 referendum, there were atrocities including the forced displacement of 250,000 people, systematic arson, and widespread sexual violence. However, efforts to enforce the law through the ad hoc human rights court in Jakarta were criticized as a sham trial because not a single key perpetrator ultimately served a prison sentence, thus failing to deliver substantive justice for the victim. That's all from me. Now I'll hand it over to my friend to continue the presentation.
Thank you for your statement, Aiman. Now we will move on, and I will explain the analysis of effectiveness of the KKP, the right to truth, justice, and reputation. In terms of the rights to the truth, the KKP succeeds in securing official recognition that Indonesian security forces, the civil servants, committed crimes against humanity in Timor-Leste in 1999. However, its effectiveness has been hampered by a narrow mandate and the absence of the direct reconciliation mechanism between victims and perpetrators. Consequently, this achievement is regarded as an incomplete truth, as this institutional acknowledgement has not yet been followed by tangible effect for the comprehensive recovery of the victims. The effectiveness of the KKP in relation to the right to justice is hampered by fundamental structural weakness, as its mandate explicitly prohibits recommendation for the prosecution of individuals. This mechanism is seen as a perpetuating impunity because it prioritizes friendship between states and the stability of bilateral relations over the legal accountability of perpetrators. Consequently, the KKP is forced to meet victims' expectation of obtaining judicial justice and is considered inconsistent with international standards requiring the prosecution of serious human rights violations. With regard to the rights to reparation of the KKP, has made concrete recommendations, including a healing program for survivors, efforts to locate missing persons, and officially apologize for the Indonesian government. However, the effectiveness of these measures has been very low, as after more than a decade, only around 5% of the recommendations have been successfully implemented. Crucial issues such as establishment of a commission for the mission have yet to materialize, reinforcing the criticism of the KKP has failed at a substantive level to provide genuine redress for the victims. Thank you. Next will be explained by my friend.
Alright, the next material is compliance with international standard. From the outset, the KKP's mandate has been at odds with international standard as it contained a clause granting amnesty for serious crimes, which has prompted official rejection by the UN. This mechanism is deemed to violate the Joint Oriental Principle 2005, as well as the obligation of aut judicare, extradite or prosecute, as it structurally precludes recommendation for the prosecution of individuals. Overall, the KKP is considered normatively incomplete as it merely produces institutional truth without any real mechanism for criminal accountability for the perpetrators. Next is implication for future transitional justice. Future transitional justice mechanism must have a mandate that is in line with international standard without hindering criminal prosecution or granting amnesty for crimes against humanity. An implementing body with legally binding follow-up mechanism is required to ensure that the Commission's recommendations do not simply become a historical record. Furthermore, victim participation must be active and substantive at very stage. As a key principle, the Truth Commission must be positioned as a complement to the judicial process, not as a substitute for the courts, in order to ensure that achievement of comprehensive and sustainable justice. The next will be delivered by my friend.
Alright, the next material is the author critical analysis. The KKP success in achieving its political and diplomatic objective by improving bilateral relations and securing official recognition of crime against humanity involving state institutions. However, there's a substantive failure as the absence of a possession mandate or mechanism for implementing recommendation mean that the majority of victims did not receive genuine justice or a redress. It can be concluded that the KKP is more accurately described as an instrument of political recognition rather than a comprehensive traditional justice mechanism, as its focus is more interstate stability than on the full relation of victim human rights. Alright, the next material will be delivered by my friend.
My name is Muhammad Korni and I'm gonna explain about the conclusion. The conclusion is the KKP in Indonesia and Timor-Leste has made a significant contribution through the historical acknowledgement of crimes against humanity, which has strengthened bilateral reconciliation between the two countries. However, this mechanism has failed to deliver substantial justice due to the absence of mandate for individual criminal prosecution and the extremely limited implementation of recommendations for reparations for the victims. Looking ahead, Indonesia must draw the experience of the KKP as a valuable lesson to desire a more comprehensive transitional justice mechanism by harmoniously integrating judicial and non-judicial approaches to ensure the sustainable fulfillment of victims' rights. Thank you.